Let's start. So today we are covering literal understanding type of questions. That would be the first 20 questions here. And then questions 21 to 23 are current affair questions. So um, we will see whether we can reach that before we begin. Thank you for turning on your camera, Saron. Much appreciated. Okay, let's have a look next. So first up, narrative comprehension. What are literal understanding questions? So they are basically the easiest types of questions in your comprehension. It's the kind where you can literally copy stuff in the passage and then put them in your answer. So those are the literal understanding questions. So it's information that's stated explicitly, which means you don't have to make any guesses or whatever. You can basically copy stuff in your answer and then you'll still get it correct. So yeah, they are very straightforward and you just have to identify the details that the questions ask you for. So your answer might not be in one spot of the passage only, it could be in a few spots. In fact, your answers could range over a few paragraphs as well, but basically they are right there. Okay, so if you can't find them, you are not looking hard enough. So it's either that or your vocabulary isn't good enough, and then you might have missed the meaning somewhere. Okay, but it's actually quite straightforward. So literal understanding questions commonly use the following question stems, especially why. We see a lot of that coming up. All right, they just ask you for a reason for why something happened, and so on and so forth. Or they might ask you how. All right, so you need to describe the steps, right, or the process that was taken in order for something to happen. For when and where, normally we don't have that anymore in secondary school. It's more of primary school. And who questions, we don't have them anymore as well in secondary school. It's very unlikely that you have one of these questions. If you do, it means your teacher is giving you an easy time in your questions. Yeah. We don't see who and where questions anymore after you leave primary 2. Okay, and then sometimes we have what questions as well. These are a little bit more tricky. Normally they require more than one piece of information. Okay, so here's an example of a question like that. Refer to the paragraph, example 1. We are fast reaching the height of technological resourcefulness. The technological period has blessed us with far more tools than we have imagined in the previous centuries. So the question here is asking you how, right? So what's the process? How? When we talk about how, it's always about the process. So the question is, how is this technological period different from the past? So the answer is basically right there, right? You just need this part. Blessed us with far more tools than we can imagine in the previous centuries. So we know that this is the answer because of this, right? I see the similarity over here, technological period, and then over here, technological period. So if you wanted to answer this, it would just be this technological period from here. Maybe you start with this instead of the, because you want to fit in the same question words over here. So you start from this technological period. You don't really need to say bless us. You can change the words however you want, but the meaning will still be there. You can say has given us, or equipped us with, more tools, and then you don't really need this part, right? More tools. You just say then what? Then with more tools than the past, like that, and then you have the answer directly. So once again, literal understanding questions, the answer is right there. But it sounds straightforward, but sometimes you might bungle it up if you don't realize how the question is focusing. Because over here, the question is just asking you how is it different from the past, right? Does it actually ask you about your imagination or whatever, right? Does it ask you about you or us? No, it doesn't. So technically, you don't need this part at all. So if you included that part, it would actually show your teacher that you didn't actually understand the focus of the question, right? The question didn't actually need those parts. You just needed the main difference, which is basically the important part is here, right? Tools, the tools part here. That's the important part. All right, so even when we answer these straightforward questions, right, there's a technique to doing it. All right, you got to be sure where the question is focused on and not to give too much information. All right, if you give too much information, there's this thing that we teachers call access denied. Okay, so access denied is spelled like this at the top here. I'm writing it in blue, right? EXCESS DENIED. All right, not like me accessing the door, that kind of thing, but it's like access. So if you wrote excessive words, I will deny you the mark. Because by writing too much, you're actually showing me that you don't know where the answer is. You're kind of like trying to copy the whole thing in the hopes of you getting the answer correct. But that should not be the case. Okay, you're now in Sec 3. You can't just copy the whole sentence and hope you get the answer correct. That doesn't work anymore. You need the specific part that the question is looking for in order to score the full mark. Okay. Next. This is a continuation of the previous paragraph. Given these tools, has the human population become better in terms of our communication skills? Do people spend quality time with their family? Technology has made people worse communicators. Excuse me. A disproportionate amount of time spent on using the computer or playing electronic devices has caused the users to become somewhat hermits, not interested in communicating with others. So what are hermits basically? I'm not sure whether you've heard of the hermit crab before, yeah? But the hermit crab is a crab, right, that, is very easily scared. The moment you're scared, it, draws back into its shell very quickly. So a hermit is someone who lives isolated from society, right? They are a hermit because they want to avoid human contact and they want to live a life alone, right? They seek solace, they seek comfort and peace by living alone. But when people in society say hermit, right, normally to refer to people, normally it has a negative meaning to it. Like if they call you a hermit, it means you're very antisocial, basically. Okay? So it has caused users to become hermits in that sense, not interested in communicating with others. So why has technology made people poorer communicators? Once again, we have the why over here, so therefore we're looking for a reason, right? So where can we find the answer here? Okay, so we know that the keywords here, right? Poorer communicators, we can find it here. Worse communicators, it's the same thing, right? But what is the explanation, right? That's definitely not the answer. I need the explanation, I need the reason. Okay, so what is happening here? So you can actually find the main answer here, right? A disproportionate amount of time is spent on using the computer or playing electronic devices. All right, this part caused users to become hermits, right? Hermits are basically poor communicators, isn't it? Because they are cut off from society. They don't talk to humans for long periods of time. And if you don't talk to people for long periods of time, you can lose the ability to communicate, right? It's actually a thing. Okay, so we have the answer right here from all the way to hermits. But we need to rephrase this properly. We can just use the words directly in there. But if I wanted to be a little bit more, to show a bit more, skill in English, I might want to rephrase some of the words. Like disproportionate, I might change it to, a huge amount of time, right? Instead of disproportionate. Or I can say the majority of their time, right? Because it's in proportion to what? It's in proportion to the time that they spend communicating. So it's disproportionate, which means one side is much heavier, the other side is much lighter. So I can say a huge amount of time, an excessive amount of time or whatever. I want to change some words. Okay, I can do that. But you don't need to if you don't want to, unless your question says in your own words, then you need to change. All right. Then your teacher will not give you the mark, right? If you use the same words as the passage. All right. But does this question have the phrase in your own words? No. So you can just use it directly. So why has technology made people poorer communicators? You can just give the answer directly. Remember, in secondary school, it's all about giving direct, straightforward answers that are to the point, all right, to secure your mark. All right. You don't want to spend too much time crafting very long answers and borrowing too many keywords from the question. because you need to complete a summary later, which will take a long amount of time. Okay, so you can just write that, right? So a disproportionate, this part, right? I'll just underline it in blue. No, not in blue, purple. Disproportionate amount of time spent on using the computer or playing electronic devices has caused the users, right, to become, don't say hermits, answer the question with this keyword here, so that your teacher knows that you're answering. Has caused users to become poorer communicators. So just use that. Yeah, you don't need to rephrase the whole question and say, technology has made people poorer communicators because of disproportionate. You don't need to say the whole thing again, right? Just use the keywords here. Poorer communicators. And if you don't want to use users, you might want to consider using the word people. All right, same as the question. Apart from that, don't use the rest of the question. Next, with the intensive use of technology, youths have neglected spending time with their families. Teenagers are seen taking everything they have for granted, not understanding the importance of family unity. They do not care about spending quality time with the family anymore. Instead of conversing at the dining table, they are busy with their handheld gadgets. Gone are the days of talking and making conversation. I'm not sure, is this true in your families? What do you think? Is it is it true for your friends as well? I do know of some families who make it like a rule that you can't take your handphone to the dining table. If not, you get scolded. Does your family do that too? I remember, I think it was Larissa telling me last year that like her family communicates or something. Yeah. So what do you think? Is your family like that? Oh, Javier says my cousins are like that. Okay. Okay. How about Saron and Larissa? Oh, Larissa says it's in the past. So are you guilty of it as well, Larissa? Like you use your phone during dining time? Hmm. Sometimes it's not that the kids don't want to talk, sometimes it's the parents themselves who are using their phones during dinner and lunch. Oh, Larissa says all of the family members do it. Okay. Maybe they're not setting a good example then. Someone says he can use the phone during dining time, and Javier says my entire family does it. Ah, no talking. That is actually quite sad, don't you think? Like our time here on Earth is like temporary. We're all going to pass on sometime, but then instead we spend it like looking at our phones too much. Yeah. But sometimes you look at your phone because you're reading a book, right? So on the phone. So I think that's okay if you're reading, you're getting new vocabulary and all that. So one uses his phone and talks at the same time. Multitasking, a hallmark of new age kids. Larissa multitasks as well. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, as long as some conversation goes on. Let's have a look. Why are youths not making conversation at the dining table? Once again, we can find the answer like very directly. Yeah. Over here, the answer is not making conversation. So why are they not making conversation? Over here, conversation. This pen doesn't, this pen is giving me some issues. Conversation over here, conversing. So instead of conversing, what are they doing? They are busy with their handheld gadgets. So that's why they are not making conversation. So you can literally write this down, like they are busy, or you can say youths are busy. If you don't write they, right? You can say youths are busy with their handheld gadgets. And then you might want to have this part at the dining table. And that would be your answer. Very direct, yeah? They are busy with their handheld gadgets at the dining table. All right, so directly, the answer is quite direct. All right, so literal understanding questions, answers can be found in the passage directly. Look for clue words like what I told you in the question, and then zoom in, to those clue words that are around that paragraph or sentence and find your answer. All right. literal, right? Sometimes when people